Greetings, Mythics. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It says, welcome to Edra's chat room, which is new. It doesn't normally do that. So, yes, welcome to Edra's chat room, but not only to the chat room, but to the live stream as well. My name is Ken Boyter. This is Loquacious of the Bottled Imp fame. Yes, this is a YouTube channel that my friend and myself started way back, I think in 2015. We have about 9,000 subscribers now. We don't really post up there anymore. It's a bit difficult for us to do that at the moment. However, if you are into fantasy and you love board game reviews and you love fantasy film reviews and you love fantasy book reviews and a few other shenanigans that we did as well, then check it out. We've got over 450 episodes, so go check that out. Yes, sorry I'm late, or thanks for waiting. I appreciate it. Yes, it is quite tricky because I'm not a morning person. So I know, you're like going, 10 o'clock, that's virtually the afternoon. Yeah, I appreciate that. It virtually is the afternoon. However, I tend to work late, especially, on a Friday night, going into Saturday, because I don't really have to get up for anything apart from this. And this, I thought, 10 o'clock, that should be enough lie-in. But I've only just woken up. Anyway, let me just get some relaxing background music on. I'll just put that on over there that I normally put on, but I thought I'd... Are you alright, Gockle Snook? You seem to have fallen down. There you go. He's only got little legs, you see. He's only got little legs. And, we've got somebody else that followed. Yes. Thank you, Retro Bleak, for following. I appreciate that. It all helps with the algorithms. And more importantly, it means you're part. You want to be part of the community, the fellowship, so to speak. So let's put on a bit of. Well, I always put on Skyrim, basically. Let's have a look. Where is it? Where's Skyrim? When are they coming out with the next Skyrim? When's that coming out? Because they've been teasing that, I think, for a number of years. Let's have a look. Yeah, what is it? Because they've done. I remember that series when I used to work as a graphic designer for a games company, not a games company, a retailer that sold video games and computer games and that kind of thing. And I remember getting, and I've still got it. I'm pretty sure I've still got it somewhere. Morrowind, a CD of Morrowind. It was a review copy. It was in a tin. And it came with a Morrowind keyring. Hello, Martha. How are you? Thank you for joining us. So, yeah, that's a really cool item. Presumably quite rare. I'm not really sure. But I'm not 100% sure where it is, actually, which is very lame of me. Has anybody noticed on YouTube, it's not in alphabetical order anymore, which is very, very annoying. Why have they done that? Why have they done that? If you've got a list of something, alphabetical is the best list to have it in. Normally. Not always. So I'm looking for Skyrim. I've got it bookmarked. Where is it? Skyrim. How's you, Martha? How are you? Oh, it's really frustrating, this. It really is. Why have they done it? It's all just completely random. Does anybody know why? Tell me! Tell me why. Oh, look at that. Okay, there we go. Sunset over Saran. Oh, that's Morrowind. Talking of Morrowind, right. Let's give you a bit of Morrowind. Is it too loud? Let's see. It's not the most slick openings, I'll give you that, to a live stream. Is that too loud? My remote control doesn't work. The volume to push down to get it to go quieter doesn't always work. Oh, got it. There it is. I've ordered a new remote control, but I really like this one because it's very long and skinny. I like that. It's sleeker. Oh, it's getting a bit loud now. And we can't have the music overshadow me, can we? We can't have that. Hello, Jam. Hello, Tally Bally ho chaps. Yes, Tally Bally to you. Martha's sick, sore throat, and it hurts to swallow. Oh, I feel for you, Martha. Big hugs to Martha. That's not very nice, is it, when that happens? Yeah, I think we've all been there, haven't we? I always put a dollop of honey in my tea when I can. I don't know what you'd suggest. Some people steam. They put steam over They put a tea towel over their heads. They boil a kettle, and they pour it into a bowl, and then the steam. Maybe they put a bit of honey in there as well. I don't know. And they steam it, get rid of it like that. Or jams, or jam solution. More ice cream. Yes. Hello, Lee Rin. Good evening. Special night at the museum. Final night before the castle antiques from Czechoslovakia are returned. Ooh. And there will be a guided tour through the special night at the museum tour in 50 minutes. Oh, that's fantastic, Lee Rin. Well, we should be finished by then. However, if we're not, then please, obviously, just go. So, yeah, well, I'm sure you would. I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I'm thinking I'm that important. Yeah, and that sounds amazing. So, the antiques returning to Czechoslovakia. Is that how have I interpreted that correctly? No ice cream for Martha. Cold foods and snacks only hurts more. Yeah, it feels like some hot snacks. Maybe hot drinks. Or maybe some, what do they call it? Maybe some cough sweets to sort out your throat. So how are we? How is everybody else? It's very difficult for me to judge, like, when I overdo things. I don't know if you find that, but like yesterday I was just so tired, just really tired. And you think, yeah, I've got a whole day and I want to do stuff. And then if you're tired, it's very difficult to do that. But I did manage to do stuff. The main thing I've been managing to do is hurrah, breaking news, I have been working on my game book, To Kill a Thief. Hooray! Been working on the game book. And I've just, hot off the press. I'm at the planning stage, or the plotting stage, I should say. And it's really fun. I am enjoying doing it, but this is the thinky stage, because you have to, several things come into your mind. A, the plot needs to make sense, obviously. B, all the entries, you know, when you divide up the entry and it goes somewhere else, and then they have to do something there and they get a choice there and it goes there. That all has to make sense, obviously. But also, part of what goes through my mind is this book entertaining? Are you going to find it exciting, intriguing, thrilling? Are you going to be enjoying it? Above all, is it entertaining? So while I'm writing it, I'm sort of bearing that in mind about how entertaining it is in each entry and what you're actually doing within the game book. So I don't know if you find that, Jam, as well, that it's one thing just writing a story, but then you go, well, is it entertaining? And the difficult thing about that is that you can't ask people that are going to read it because you don't know who's going to read it yet. Well, I do. I mean, I've got the backers, but I actually, yeah, thinking about it, ordinarily, if you didn't have backers, you wouldn't know who's going to read your book, so you couldn't ask them. But I guess you could. Have you ever thought of doing this, Jem? Sending a survey out to your backers saying, what would you like to see in the book? And just see what response you get. That would be interesting. So there is one way of doing it. I've now gone back on my argument there. There is one way of doing it. But what I tend to do is I'm writing the book as I like game books. You know, what my experience of game books are. The most beautiful among them are a vanity coffee set. Lovely, with portraits of the royal family. That using them across the sugar jars, milk jars, in individual cups of course, the Baron's face on the main coffee pot itself. That sounds it sounds a little bit tacky, doesn't it? And very vain. Hello, do you know what? I'm going to get a coffee set with my face all over it. But I'm sure it looks beautiful if it's hand painted and a craft. Then I'm sure it does look beautiful. Jam has put here, the idea is to make a fast-paced movie. Oh, that's a good way of looking at it. Jason the Argonauts or Terminator 2. Classic scene after scene. It's amazing how inspiration just happens. I've had an idea for yet another scene in The Witches of Kara. By the end of next week, the first draft may be a third written. So that's good. That's well done. Yeah, you're making really good progress. Yeah, that's a very good point. I was going to say, one thing I noticed with game books is, yeah, you've got to have them ticking over. Really, like, jip, 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 jip. Fast-paced, exactly. Another thing that I definitely don't want to have in my game book is some game books, certainly the early Fighting Fantasy ones, you could go round in loop and you just get stuck in like a loop. You keep going back to the same entries and it's like, oh no. To me, that is not fun. Now, I know, but weirdly enough, there is an exception. The Ghosts of Craven Manor was designed like that. This is the game that we're playing at the moment, as you all know. But this is designed to do it. So although you're going back to the same rooms and the same locations, there are changes to them because you've got this is time travel. So you're in the... Oh, got the hiccups. You're in the present and you go back to the 1950s and you also go back to the 1800s. So you go back to the same areas, but they're different because it's a different time zone. So for me, that works because you're gleaning new information. I do remember, I think it was what was it? Charlie Higson's Fighting Fantasy book recently. We just went round in one big loop after loop after loop, and we're like going, oh my God, is it broken? Is it us? That's not enjoyable. So I've definitely made it where you can't do that. There's going to be none of that going on there. Lyrian's put, my personal favourite, aside from the cavalry, sabres, flintlocks and even crossbows, however, is an actual D&D, D&D and FF style dungeon lock and key. And the best of all, hand-carved wood chest set. Yeah, those are gorgeous items. And isn't it amazing how I think, it's weird because there's this big push for everything to be digital. But yet we're 3D people, we're humans who like tactile things, don't we? We like things. It's part of our nature to make things as well. So, when you have, and crafts, we really appreciate craftsmanship. Although it's a sort of tough dilemma because we want things cheap, but we want things good, and those two don't always marry up, do they? So it's quite tricky to kind of combat that. I guess when you look back, clothes were incredibly expensive back in the day because they were just tailors, small tailors, making clothes to suit. You'd go in, and even the poorest of people would go in and still get measured up. But it was expensive, so you would probably buy one suit, for your lifetime. But they were good quality, though. That's the difference again. So it would last a bit longer than throwaway fashion. But I'm all for craftsmanship. However, it's very difficult to earn money this day and age when you've got economies of scale that are knocking out stuff, cheaply. So it's tricky. There's even a recording of a Victorian stage play. Oh, wow. Enacted in an actual chaise palace, like the operas you see in Fantasy Opera. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good. I think I might sleep soon. I was going to craft today, but body says nope. Oh, yeah, exactly. I would you just see what your body says. Absolutely, Martha. Like I was talking about this just earlier. Like, I was really tired yesterday and I had all these plans to do stuff and I couldn't get as much of it as done as I could, as I wanted to. but I got some of it done, so I had to be content with that. But my body was like, no, you need to sleep more. So yeah, and also the other layer that you have to watch out for in a game book is that it's all very well setting up your mechanics at the front, but do you employ them within the book? So, for example, I've got, hang on, let's have a look. Yeah, I've got extra thief's abilities, which is, there it is. I've got extra, so each game book you're going to have the Vigor, Metal, Fettle, Allure and Fate and experience points. So every game book is going to have that. That's like my mechanics. But then each character you play will have their own set of unique things as well that you get tested on. So the thief has lockpicking, sleight of hand, stealth, dexterity. So I've also got to make sure, obviously, that I don't forget tests that you put into the game book. So here's my flowcharts. Good news is I've been working on the flowchart, and I have now done an extra. What am I up to? 50, 55, 56, 60. I've done an extra 60 plotted out the plot a little bit more. So when I started, so before the Kickstarter, I'd got to 98 I'd got to, and I'd written 30 of those 98 for the sample. So then I carried on. So this is the new stuff, as you can see. Don't want to give it away too much. Hopefully you can't read that because the writing's too small. Then we go over the page to this one. It's a thing of beauty. And then we just started a new page. So yeah, and so what I've done is I've got little symbols next to it. So that I've got a little pen knife, which indicates that you're going to be doing a lock picking task there. Plus, I've also got a little knife when you get to a combat. So this is just for my own quick reference. Then I've also got a shoe if you're going to be doing a stealth test. So it means that I can look at a glance and say, oh yeah, look, I've got 1, 2, so there's 2 lock-picking tests there. Then I've got 1, 2, 3 combats happening on this page, and then it'll be one stealth happening. So I can quickly go through all of these and just add up, just see the flow, and just see where they sprinkle in, where it sprinkles in, how even it is. Because at the moment, I don't think I've got... Have I got... I've got a couple of sleight of hands, I think, but not many. Plus, the other thing that I've put in is I've got sleep encounters and events. So I've put events as a little... lightning strike basically, and then I've got, I couldn't find a sleeping eye, but I've got an eye to indicate sleeping encounters. So again, I can quickly look through this plan and say, yeah, have I got enough? Oh look, yeah, there's a sleight of hand. Of course, it's just a hand. So I can look through and say, yeah, there's not enough sleight of hand. You've not used that skill enough. Or there's not enough sleep counters, or haven't had a sleep encounter for a long time, let me put a sleep encounter in. So it's just a quick guide for me to work out the balance of how you use your skills. Does that make sense? Apologies, might drop out early tonight, going to listen to the education audio guides and learn a bit more history while I still can. No worries, Lirin, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Tapping into Scottish folklore has opened up some fresh ideas for the gamebook bestiaries. Fantastic. Scottish folklore. We got the Selkie and the Kelpie, to name but two. I think many books turn to the same creatures. Paranormal Hero, The Nightmare was similar, dabble into Oriental lore. Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Well, this is why I created my mythical creatures deck. Good morning, Sally. How are you? Because, yes, there's some classic ones in here, like the Minotaur, the Phoenix. However, but there are some others that I've put in here, like the Spriggan, which is not commonly known. The Thunderbird, which you may not have heard about. Obviously, the Troll. Unicorn you would have done. The Rag, yes, you would have done. The Wendigo, you may or may not have, maybe a lot of fantasy people have heard of the Wendigo. Will-o'-the-Wisp, the Warpetinger, again, have people heard of that one? The Boller, the I don't know how you pronounce that, the Caterpillars. That one's mentioned in the Bible, I believe, I think. Sally, is that one mentioned in the Bible? So the Freybug, so this, I'm using this as a resource for monsters, absolutely, because because I've done the research already, and sometimes you need a monster to suit a situation, so you know precisely what you'd like. Sometimes, like you're looking at Scottish folklore and you think, oh, that's a good idea, I could use that. So sometimes it comes by doing research first and you just happen upon something that's pretty cool. Need coffee, yes. I've just been saying the same. You've got it right, Ken. We can mix it up a little. Yeah, absolutely mix it up a little bit. Because the thing is, whenever you create anything, it's very rare that somebody just creates completely something new. It's very, very rare. So if you are creating, I don't know if you find this, I wouldn't get too caught up about being completely original and coming up with something totally original, because that's very rare and that can stop your creativity because you're really concentrating hard and you're blocking all the other ideas. So mine would be, so this is how I'm doing it. I'm writing something that I enjoy in the past, that I've enjoyed. Mine is basically a cross between fighting fantasy, Talisman the board game, and my love of just fantasy in general, and folklore and folk tales as well. So I've got that mixture going on. So because it's a game book. Obviously, there are different genres of game book, but I think the traditional game book is fantasy. So you're going to have your audience already there. Now, if you try to be too original and remove it too far, you're going to lose elements of what your audience actually are looking for. So when I look for a fantasy book to read or a game book to play, I'm looking for fantasy, yes, and there's certain things that make up what fantasy genre is. However, I am looking for something slightly different. But it's finding that balance. If you do it too different, it's either going to be a massive hit because it's really out there and really different, or it's going to be a huge flop. So the stakes are higher because people go, I don't know what this is. This is too crazy. So, yeah, it's kind of finding that balance. So I've very much played safe, if you like. This is a classic sort of cover. And my thinking was, well, fighting fantasy are hugely popular. They've obviously got it right. Nice cup of tea. So that was my thinking. And, where I think my game book is different is I've got the sleep encounters and the events that happen that you may or may not benefit you. It's not always a bad thing if you have a sleep encounter. It's not always a bad thing if you have an event, because there might be some stuff that help you. Plus, I've got a bit of a magic system going on that doesn't really add to the overall length of the book. It's incantation scrolls, where it will just affect your character as such, not necessarily affect other things that are happening around you. So it's things like gain a gold, gain more vigor, gain health. It's that kind of thing. It might even be, adds your vigor and your metal together in combat for one combat. So it's very much things that were kind of like talisman. Those are not sleep encounters, but events were very much like, I like the events happening because it just spices things up a bit. It keeps the story, I guess, from getting too stale or too predictable. Because you're going, all right, I'm going to go off here now, and then it says, there's an event, and you go, right, okay, let me look, let me roll 2 die, what happens to me? So one, for example, is, this is quite tough, Oath's Gold. Upon closer inspection, you notice that half your gold coglets are Oath's Gold and are completely worthless. However, though, it's got Scroll of Myth Mages. You have found the Fable Incantation Scroll of the Myth Mages. Choose one incantation scroll from the list. So then you just go to 87, and then you just pick a scroll. You just pick a scroll. Do you see what I mean? So I like to think those are sort of unique. They're not groundbreaking mechanics, but they are different. They're certainly different from fighting fantasy. And the other thing is that I'm going to be playing, each game book is standalone, and each game book you will be playing a different character type. So, you might be an assassin in the next one, or you might be a chef. I might not do the typical fantasy tropes, but they will have fantasy-esque things happening. So that's where I'm at with the To Kill a Thief. I've planned out another 60. And it's interesting because it is taking me longer than I thought. Because I thought this bit might be the quick bit. But, as I said before, I've got to make sure that it all fits, that there's no broken bits here, because this is the best time to fix those broken bits before I've written the entries and before I hand it out to playtesters. So I'm really excited about this. It's really shaping up. I've already got the story plotted out, so I already know what's happening there. It's now translating that story into the entries themselves. So there we are. But it's one of those things where I get quite obsessed. I don't know if you do, but I love being in this world and writing, and so it's kind of like, this is all I want to do. Let's just get it done. Let's get it done. And I have to just remember it's not going to happen like that. So I've revised my timetable. I think that I'm going to be able to plot out this 400 to 500 entry game book and make sure that there's enough balance, that you're doing enough skill tests, there's enough events happening, there's enough sleep encounters happening, there's enough combat, because in my game book you gain experience points through combat and you level up through the ranks. I've got to make sure that when you level up through the ranks that you use your ability of your ranks. Now I've not worked out what I'll let you into a little secret. I've not worked out what gain swagger is yet. But when you're a braggart, that's when you reach a certain point. You gain swagger, gain secret steel, gain thieves' law, gain plunder, blagger's knack. Now, just from the sound of those, I think I can work out what special abilities they are. But I need to make sure I then bake them in before I write the book. That's the easiest thing to do. Oh, the other thing that I've been doing, which was quite cool, was and you can answer this if you like. Give me some advice here. I have been, when I went through the entries, I reread the free sample because I needed to get my head back into the story. And what I decided to do was make a note of the things that you encounter. So we've got a goblin, a stinking rat. These aren't spoilers. And I've just written them down. So, because then I'll have a list of enemies all throughout the game book. So then I'll know how many enemies you get. So how many experience points you can potentially get. Then we've got the objects. The objects that you can buy, or you can steal, or that you find. So I've got an objects deck. So what I thought is, and this, I think we've talked about this before, I wouldn't mind doing a version like the Choose Your Own Adventure that comes in cards. You still, do you think this is a good idea? So you'd still have the book, but when it says you pick up the sword of Dangda, you pick up the objects deck and then you look for the sword of Dangda, and it says what it says on there. So +2 vigor in combat, it's worth 3 gold coglets, and then you just keep that in your play area. Because that in a way is much easier than writing it on a sheet. And it's quicker, you can just quickly look through it. And also what I find with the adventure sheets is there's never enough room really to write what it does and how much it's worth and all of that. So my body is screaming for sleep. Oh, Martha, go to sleep then. Go to sleep. Sings lullaby to sleep. Just drift off. Let yourself fall into a sleep. A lot of people say that me droning on is very good for putting them to sleep. So hopefully this will help. So do you think that that's a good idea? I do eventually. Might make you a bit jealous sitting under my Rohan blanket. Oh, lovely. The Riders of Rohan. I fell asleep regularly when Ken is talking. Yes, that is true. I cannot deny that. It's my special, unique gift to the world. And especially to Sally. So do you think it's a good idea? I quite like the idea that you have little cards to help you just, with your admin. So I might do that as maybe just an add-on pack initially and retrofit it to this game. Not normally this sleepy, but sick. Yeah, it's a cool idea. Very relaxing. Thanks. It's not interesting or intriguing, it's just relaxing. So I think I'm going to be doing that eventually. Just release a deck of cards that has the monster combats on and the objects. With and also, the other ones. It would be the sleep encounters. And the events, and the spells. So anything that's anything like that, so that you need to look up the chart in the back of the book. You could roll the die, and then you would just look through the incantation spells and go, okay, number 5. Oh, okay, I've got that one. And then you don't have to write anything down. Nobody's really listening, are they? You're too busy falling asleep. Does it sound like a good idea or not? Or maybe I should ask on a different day. So no more Story Spark cards. Sad. I have so many ideas for new ones. Thank you, Martha. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a good idea. Yeah, I think it would be a good idea. We're not saying there isn't any more Story Spark cards. I'm not saying that. I've still got plans for the Story Spark cards as well. But the Story Spark cards might be might be going to book format only because of cost of shipping. It's cheaper to send, say, a book like this. You know, imagine if this was a Story Spark Cards book and that you had the image on that side and then the description on that side, than it is to actually send a box like this. It's a lot lighter. So, you know how Ollie changed his card game to books, and they seem to take off. So it might be that we go to book format, unfortunately. Yeah, so, but Rich and I are talking about that at the moment. So there we go. So yes, so that is one of the ideas that I have, is that we'll do it like that. So yeah, so it's been cool. I've been enjoying writing this. So that is my next, that is the focus of December, really. That's hopefully my main project for December. And if I can finish plotting out the 400 to 500 entries with all the sleep encounters in there, with all the combats, with all the, the tests, then from January I can actually start writing the book. We wear that is weird and kind of backwards of the shipping. Oh, is it? Oh, you think so? We wear orthopedic shoes. What's that? Why have you written that, Jam? Do you think it's backwards for us to go? Yeah, no. The thing is, what I found with the Story Spark cards, Martha, especially shipping overseas, that the shipping costs almost as much as the actual deck did. So if we're selling these for £20, to send them to America, I think, was either £19 or £21. It was virtually the same. Whereas when you send a book, it's not as expensive. So it was very bizarre. So it's like, oh, okay. And I just wonder if that puts people off buying the decks because they are quite expensive to ship. So that was our reasoning. Now I know that if you've already got the 2 decks before, it's like, oh, but I was going to collect them. I appreciate that. But we'll see. Maybe we could do half. Maybe we could do both options. I don't know. It's just tricky. It's tricky with shipping. Because the other thing is that when we do a Kickstarter, obviously we want to raise the money. Now, if there's potentially people that would back it and they're getting put off, then it's tricky. Maybe we could do both. Maybe we could do decks and books. We'll have to just see. Have to see. I like the cards because you can just quickly pull them out and you can shuffle them and they're like at random. Unless we do, like Dylan, with Dylan we do like a tarot deck, because then they're definitely going to be cards. But then that would be using the magical objects and the mythical creatures decks, not new ones. So yeah, I haven't abandoned the Story Spark cards, Martha. Don't worry, it's fine. It's like you. It's got all these ideas. I want to put them all into practice, but it's finding the time to do it. Basically, Stargazer Pie. What are you talking about? Is it something I said? So there we go. So that is my idea. So it could be that these, I'd like these cards will probably be this sort of size, not tarot size. So they'll be, not as small as talisman cards, but that sort of size. Don't know how to describe it. The Crooked Crown size. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. But I just want it finished. It's just like, right, I just want it finished. I'm hoping that the writing of the book doesn't take too long. Hopefully I can write it in a month maybe 2 months, which will be January, February. Then it needs to be play tested and proofread, February, March, and then I need to print it, which would be April and May, because I promised it would be May. So that's where I'm at. That's the sort of schedule that I'm Jam's just being random. I like random jam. So that's the schedule that I've got in my head. You know, hopefully I can get it done sooner, and if I can get it done sooner, then, you know, so much the better. But obviously it's my first game book, and I'm not writing it full time, which is a shame, because it'd been so nice to spend just day after day after day just writing it. But I will be trying to write at least, you know, work on it every day. That is my plan as well. So I try to have at least, this is what I'm trying to do. Even though I've got multiple projects on the go, I tend to have one main one that I will try to work on every single day, whereas the others tend to take a bit of a break, and then I'll work on it, a bit of a break, work on it. And so that's sort of what I'm going to be doing with To Kill a Thief, is to get that done, you know, by working on it every day. Chaotic randomness is fun. It is. Yeah, and also I'm looking forward to sorting out the other rewards, like the metal poster plate, the dice. What else have we got? The badge. You know, I'm looking forward to working on those as well. Can't be a mad 5 minutes. Yeah, absolutely. But there is, you know, there are other projects I've been working on. I don't know if I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but I went away. Sally and myself went up to Bridlington near Scarborough a few weekends ago now. I can't remember if I talked to you about that. And we played board games. Yay! Sally went off for a lot of walks, which was nice. Because Sally can take or leave board games, whereas I can't leave them. No, so that was really cool. And I managed to play test my murder mystery game once again. So this is the new board. This is the new board. So this is the new board. It's quite big. It's the size of the Talisman board, the 4th edition Talisman. And I've made changes. So there's not as many rooms. There's only 12 rooms as opposed to 15. And I've now put on the board what you do on your go. So it's right there. And there's spaces for the actual suspects when they come into play onto the board. These are where all the suspects or the witness cards go. So when you when you play the game, you can question witnesses, and there'll be different cards from the different witnesses on here, and you just take which card is relevant. Plus, you've got your clue cards. Careful how you say that. The clue cards, the forensics, the deduction power, what was that one? The hunch card. Then you've got the hint card, and you've got the personal objective cards. And then along the bottom is the track of how many turns it takes. You have 24 turns, in other words, 24 hours to solve the case. So it's really cool playing it with the new board, and there's not as many rooms. So what I had to do in order to get ready to play test that one, I had to take out, I took out a few clues that were in the 3 rooms, and all the forensics were in that room. I sort of divvied up and put them in other rooms, or just abandoned them completely because they were red herrings. And it did make for a shorter game. It did make for a shorter game because I want it to be about 2 hours long. Another way of playing the game is it could be, but they didn't mind. They were quite enjoying it. So again, it's which market are you aiming it for? So the other way that you could shorten the game is you just say, well, you have to, that you have 12 hours to guess it, and that's a shortened version. I might not need to change it anymore. I'm going to play test it again with another group of people, and then maybe play test it again, and then pitch it, to then send it out to pitch it out to people. Jam has put it, I went there on a date once, got scalped by a seagull. Oh, did you? It's a nice place. It has got that little area, like a lot of seaside, you know, they're a little bit run down. However, there was an ice festival going on. You know, there seemed to be quite intriguing shops going on. So we had a nice time. It was lovely. Me and my friend are working on a D&D alignment, lawful creative, good creative, neutral creative, chaotic creative, and evil creative. Oh, that sounds fantastic. I like it, yeah. Well, I've got different alignments in my one as well, so it's quite cool to come up with different ones. The clue, yeah, exactly. The clue cards clan, yeah. Sally's put here, Bridgerton was lovely, cold in the sea though. Yeah, Sally, like a nutter, went into the sea. Sally has got special feet that never get cold. Sally and I wasn't with her when she did that. I thank God. But as in, I was still with her, but I was playing board games. She went off for a walk. We went to Devon, and normally, you know, we both go into the sea. It's quite nice. And seriously, that was the coldest sea I've ever experienced. I had to come out after 20 seconds. Whereas Sally's like, yay! I did get some weird looks. I'm not surprised. They thought you were an immigrant coming over. That was Cornwall. Oh, that was Cornwall, apparently. But that was a lovely holiday as well. So, yeah, I'm going to be playtesting this again. And then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pitching it out to publishers to see if anyone wants to publish it. And I had thought... Try ice bathing king, that is cold. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Martha. I'm too old for that sort of stuff now. I know what I like and I like what I know. Yeah, it's meant to be invigorating, isn't it? Good for the muscles, apparently. I have done stuff like that before. Yeah, I've done sea swimming at 6 o'clock in the morning and that kind of crazy stuff. Yes, I had thought, though, as well, it did cross my mind, when you're pitching to publishers, you know, which I have done before, and normally they play the game. And so with the Crooked Crown, it's a 20-minute game. So, yeah, of course they're going to play it as fine. I've also pitched a game, Guildlands, which is about 45 minutes to play, possibly an hour. And again, they do play it to the end. A lot of them do. Some might bail out halfway through. So they seem okay to play that. But I thought about, what about those big games, you know, like Twilight Imperium 3, Skyrim that's just come out. What else? Dead of Winter, that take three hours to play, 3 or 4 hours to play. Do they sit, you know, when they're getting pitched, when the designers are pitching it to them, do they go, have you got a spare 3 hours? Do you know what I mean? It's like, do they do that? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know. So I came up with this idea of, yes, I could play, you know, we could say, right, we've got half an hour, play the game, and you should get to know, you know, how it works within half an hour. However, there is something about actually playing a whole game from beginning to end, because the end can be different from the beginning, if you see what I mean. So, I was just wondering, I was toying with the fact of maybe creating a new story for them to actually play test. Because then they get the whole experience. And also, it was also about demoing the game. When we were demoing the game at UK Games, the Crooked Crown, again, that's a 20-minute game. And you can get through a lot of people, you know, oh yeah, and that helps sales. It helps a lot of people see the game. However, if you're, you know, they can't play a 2-hour game, 3-hour game on a stand. So it's difficult to demo it. So I did think, how could we do that? So maybe, not necessarily for pitching to the publishers, but maybe for the demo exhibitions, like UK Games Expo, that I just write a very small, short, one-shot wonder, like you do in D&D, that will take half an hour to play. And it is literally using, say, 4 rooms, and it's a very unusual murder, that they have to solve. So I did think maybe that would work, because then they could sit down for half an hour and they have to work that out. And there you go. So that is the other main project that I'm working on. Then I've got my B game as well, obviously. So there you go. So, but this one, I've got a lot of faith in this one. Not that I haven't for the B game, obviously, but I'm very excited about that because it does combine my storytelling. I like writing stories, so obviously I've written a murder mystery and put it into game format. So that kind of would be very satisfying if it does get picked up and played. So there we are. There we are. I think that's it. Oh, look at that. It's coming up for 11 o'clock. So, but that's a good idea. Then it doesn't spoil the main plot. Yes, exactly. It won't spoil the main plot for them. So maybe I could... Yeah, maybe the publishers don't mind and they just play half an hour of the game and they don't mind playing it through. Or, if they're really enjoying it, they might just carry on and play the whole game. So maybe I don't need to write that initially for the demo. Or I do write that for the pitching to the publishers as well as the demo. I don't know. See you later, Ken, since time is almost up. Yes, thank you very much, Martha, for watching. Good luck. Good luck. Get well soon is what I mean. Keep yourself warm. Look after that throat. Maybe some honey or steam. People say steam helps get rid of everything. Take some Lemsip or whatever the equivalent is in Norway. That's a good idea. It doesn't spoil the main plot. Yes. Kraken power. I like that. Kraken power. Yes, rest well, Martha. Absolutely. So there we are. So that's what I've been working on. So thank you so much for joining me again this morning. It's a little bit mild here in the UK. I was going to say in this cold, chilly morning. But I've got a jumper, so I'm nice and toasty. Thank you so much, Martha. Get well soon. Thank you, Jam, for your crazy randomness. Thank you, Lirin, for your insightful wisdom, as always. And who else joins? Thank you, Sally, for your listening skills and not falling asleep this time as I'm talking. No, thank you, Sally, for your sensible ideas. Thank you, everybody else that watched that didn't comment. I really, really appreciate that. And thank you, Retro Bleak, once more for following. I do appreciate that as well. And if you do want to follow the channel, please click the follow button. It does help. And if you want to know exactly when I go live, then you click the notification and it should send you a little notification to say I've gone live. I do put all of these up onto my Edra Tales YouTube channel. So if you missed this or you want to see it again or whatever like that, you can go over to YouTube if it's easier for you to watch. But until next time, may your thieving never be caught. Nice one, guys. Take care. Bye.